All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. I got things started on the right foot last night. I picked the Dallas Cowboys to defeat the Tennessee Titans. I said Cowboys 27, Titans 10. And of course, the final score was Cowboys 27, Titans 13, as Dallas is trying to get some momentum for themselves as they head into the postseason. Now, with that said, we have a bevy of games on tap for Sunday, New Year's Day, as well as the Monday night affair. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 17 in this NFL season. Now, you're going to have the 4-11 Arizona Cardinals traveling to take on the 5-3 Atlanta Falcons, as the loser in this contest has the inside track to a better draft pick. Both of these teams are just trying to get to the end of the finish line. It's been tough seasons for both. It's all about the backup quarterbacks right now. And of course, guys are going to be playing for jobs. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who wants it more. And I'm going to take the Falcons at home with the 20-17 win. Now, in Ford Field in Detroit, you're going to have the 7-8 Lions hosting the 3-12 Chicago Bears. Detroit comes into this contest favored by 6 points, and they are also looking to hang around in the playoff race in the NFC. Now, of course, the Lions lost a tough one last week at the hands of the Carolina Panthers, and they got to get back on track. They have to execute with their offense and Jared Goff first and foremost. Defensively, the Lions had been playing better. They got to get back to that. And now this Lions defense is going to have their hands full with Justin Fields, the Bears quarterback, who is one of the better athletes at the position in the NFL. It's Bears Lions. And with that said, you throw the rule book out of the window. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to take Detroit to win at home by the score of 27-23. Now at Arrowhead in Kansas City, you're going to have the 12-3 Chiefs looking to take a step closer to getting home field advantage in the AFC as they host the 4-11 Broncos. Um, for Kansas City, they come into this contest favored by 12.5 points, and you can make a case that the Chiefs can mail this in. I mean, we just saw the Broncos get embarrassed on Christmas Day at the hands of the Los Angeles Rams, and it led to their head coach Nathaniel Hackett getting fired. So it's going to be interesting to see how motivated that these Broncos are going to be coming into this one. Denver played Kansas City very tough a couple of weeks ago when they met at Mile High. And defensively, the Broncos kept them in the game by forcing some turnovers on Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. But it's going to be interesting to see how this team is motivated. And I'm talking about the Broncos because they are a very fractured ball club right now. Kansas City is clicking on all cylinders, and I expect that trend to continue. Thus, I'm going to take the Chiefs to double up the Broncos at home by the score of 34-17. Now, a big one in the AFC playoff picture is you're going to have the 8-7 Miami Dolphins traveling to Foxborough to take on the 7-8 New England Patriots. New England comes into this contest favored by 2.5 points, while the Dolphins are clinging to that final wild card spot in the AFC. A couple of weeks ago, it looked like it was going to be etched in stone that the Dolphins were going to be playoff bound. They were 8-3. They were right there, nipping on the heels of the Buffalo Bills, and things have fallen apart real quickly. The Dolphins are in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, and now they lost their starting quarterback Tua Tagovailoa to his second concussion of the season, and there's a possibility that that concussion could end his season. Now the Dolphins have to go to Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, and of course, Teddy Bridgewater is a veteran in this league, and he's been there and kind of done that. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in with this Miami team. You think about the talent that Miami has on wide receiver with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and can Bridgewater consistently get them the football in this game? We got to wait and see. For the New England Patriots, you know what? They just keep running into tough teams. Last week it was the Cincinnati Bengals. They found a way to battle back. They had an opportunity to win, but it fell just out of their reach for the second week in a row. I look at this contest right here, and if you're the Patriots, you need this to try to hang around in that wild card picture. While for the Dolphins, you need to try to find a way to get back on track as you're hoping to get to the postseason. It's going to come down to special teams and turnovers in this one. And can this Dolphins defense force Mac Jones into making some mistakes? We got to wait and see. But I'm going to take New England at home in this one by the score of 23-20. Now at the Meadowlands, you're going to have the 8-6-1 New York Football Giants hosting the 4-10-1 Indianapolis Colts. New York comes into this contest favored by 5.5 points, and a victory here by the Giants would send them to the postseason for the first time since 2016. Brian Daboll has done a solid job in turning around the fortunes of the Giants in year one as their head coach. And you can somewhat see the finish line for this team as far as getting to the postseason. It's all about the Giants being able to seize the moment. And they're favored by 5.5 at home. I know that the fans are going to be out supporting this team come Sunday afternoon, but the Giants cannot look past the Colts. Yes, the Colts are a downtrodden team. We just saw them lose badly on Monday Night Football at home to the Chargers, and we saw their quarterback, Nick Foles, play one of the worst games of his career as well. But at the end of the day, there's pride, and you have a lot of guys fighting for jobs in this league, and that means the Colts are going to go out there and fight, scrap, and claw. Now, what the Giants have to do, they have to seize the moment, and they have to come out and click on all cylinders, and they have to treat this like it is a playoff game, because Indianapolis is definitely going to pack a lunch this Sunday afternoon. But when it's all said and done, I think New York has enough to get past Indianapolis. And I'm going to take the Giants at home by the score of 24-20. Now, right down the road from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, at the Link in Philly, you're going to have the 13-2 Eagles hosting the 6-9 New Orleans Saints. Philadelphia comes into this game favored by 5.5 points, and they know that a win here could wrap up things in the NFC as far as home field advantage goes. Philly lost a tough one with Gardner Minshew at quarterback last Saturday against the Dallas Cowboys, and they want to try to find a way to get back on track. Who's going to be the Eagles quarterback for Sunday? We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, Philly's got to play better defensively. And what a better way for you to get back on track defensively than facing a Saints team that has had their issues on offense all season long. I think the Eagles get back to business. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to take them with a 27-17 win. Now, the de facto NFC South championship game will take place in Tampa on Sunday afternoon. You have the 7-8 Bucks hosting the 6-9 Carolina Panthers. Now, Tampa Bay comes into this contest favored by 4 points over Carolina. But you look at the Bucks, they have been one of the bigger disappointments this season. While after the 2-7 start, Carolina has come on strong. And let's not forget, Carolina beat Tampa Bay in Charlotte earlier this year. So a victory right here would have the Panthers sitting pretty heading into week number 18. This contest right here is going to come down to execution. Which team is going to make the most of their opportunities with the football? Which team is going to make the most of their opportunities in the red zone? And that's been a big issue for Tampa Bay all season long. They've been able to move the football, but they have not been able to score touchdowns consistently. And also this Bucks defense. What can they do against this Carolina offense led by quarterback Sam Darnold? Carolina has been running the football much more effectively under interim head coach Steve Wilkes, and the Bucks are going to have their hands full in this one. This is going to be a back and forth affair throughout, but when it's all said and done, I am going to take Tampa to escape with the 24-23 victory. Now in Maryland, you're going to have the 7-1 Washington Commanders hosting the 6-9 Cleveland Browns. And for Washington, they want to get back on track, and also they want to hold on to their spot as far as being in possession of the final wild card in the NFC. You look at this game, the quarterback situation for the Commanders. Head coach Ron Rivera has benched Tyler Heineke in favor of Carson Wentz. And whenever you have a revolving door at quarterback, that is never a good thing. But you look at this Cleveland team that the Commanders are facing, and Cleveland, they're looking to play spoiler, and they're looking to try to build some momentum for themselves heading into 2023. I think this contest right here is going to be a sloppy game. It's not going to be for the faint at heart. And somebody obviously is going to find a way to back into a win. I'm going to take Washington at home by the score of 20 to 19. Now in Houston, you're going to have the 2-12-1 Texans hosting the 7-8 Jacksonville Jaguars. And don't look now, but a win here by Jacksonville would put them one step closer to winning the AFC South. You look at how the Jags have come on with second year quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and of course, Doug Peterson has really gotten things going for this Jacksonville team. Houston picked up their second victory of the year last week as they went on the road and knocked off the Tennessee Titans. But Tennessee has had their struggles on offense, and now the Texans defense is dealing with a different animal here and with Trevor Lawrence and company. And because of that, I'm going to take Jacksonville on the road by the score of 30 to 17. Now out in Vegas, you're going to have the 6-9 Raiders hosting the 11-4 San Francisco 49ers. It used to be a time where only a bay separated the Niners and the Raiders. Of course, I'm talking about the old days when the 49ers played at Candlestick and of course the Raiders played at the Coliseum. But nonetheless, two organizations, two teams that are going in different directions right now. We saw the Raiders bench Derek Carr earlier this week, in spite of the fact that they are still mathematically alive for a playoff spot in the AFC. And the verbiage and the tenor from this team after the move doesn't seem good. The 49ers are clicking on all cylinders at the right time with the playoffs around the corner. And the scary thing about it, this team is still not fully healthy. And I don't expect San Francisco to take their foot off of the throttle against this stumbling Raiders team. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to take San Fran on the road at this one by the score of 31 to 17. Now, in the Pacific Northwest, there's a pair of 7-8 teams that are looking to hang around in the wild card picture in their respective conferences. You have the 7-8 New York Jets traveling to take on the 7-8 Seattle Seahawks. And of course, one of the big questions heading into this contest is, will Geno Smith get revenge on the team that drafted him while also keeping Seattle in that playoff race? Now, the Jets are welcoming back Mike White to the starting lineup at quarterback. And of course, this Jets offense looks totally different when Mike White is in there. But one thing you could say about Seattle, whether, excuse me, not since it was a Kingdom, not since they played in the Kingdom, but since they're in their new spot at now Lumen Field, typically home field advantage works for them, especially this time of the year. I know that the Seahawks are only 3-4 at home this year. But there's something about that Seattle magic, especially late in the year, that definitely works in the favor of the Seahawks. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to take Seattle to win at home by the score of 27 to 24. Now you're going to have the 12-3 Minnesota Vikings traveling to Lambeau to take on the 7-8 Green Bay Packers. Green Bay comes into this game favored by 3 points. They are playing some good football right now. And of course, you go back to week number one where both of these teams met in Minneapolis, and the Vikings jumped on the Packers early and never looked back in that contest. But lately, Minnesota's winning, but they continue to walk that fine line of the razor's edge. We got to see what's going to happen with this team. But you look at the way Aaron Rodgers and company are playing, those young receivers are starting to come into form for Green Bay. That's going to be dangerous for their opponents, especially coming down the stretch. And if the Packers were to get into the postseason, but when it's all said and done in this one, I'm going to take Green Bay at home by the score of 27 to 24. Now, the new battle of Los Angeles is you're going to have the 5-10 Rams tangoing with the 9-6 Chargers at SoFi in Inglewood. And for the Chargers, more than likely they're going to be locked into that sixth spot in the AFC playoffs, but they definitely want to head in with some momentum. Justin Herbert, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And when he can get going, he is very tough to stop. Now, we saw this Rams team explode for 51 points on Christmas Day versus the Broncos. What are they going to do against this Chargers defense? Baker Mayfield may have found a home with the Rams. You look at the way the Baker is playing right now, and arguably this is some of the best football that he has played in the NFL. But when it's all said and done, the Chargers are the better team. They're getting healthy right now. They're expected to get Joey Bosa back, and let's not forget, now you got bookend edge rushers with both him and Khalil Mack. Could make life tough for Baker Mayfield in this one, and because of that, I'm going to take the Chargers by the score of 31-20. Now on Sunday night, it's the Hatfields and the McCoys, the black and blue game, as you're going to have the 7-8 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to take on the 10-5 Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore comes into this contest favored by 2. The over-under on this contest is only 35.5 points. And for me, it's one of those where sometimes you might look at a game and say, well, the first team to 20 might win. And this one, the first team to double digits or the first team to score a touchdown, period, might win. Both of these teams are very stingy defensively. Of course, the Ravens are going with a backup quarterback in Tyler Huntley once again, while the Steelers have a rookie quarterback in Kenny Pickett. And in both cases, it's limited what they can and cannot do offensively. This game is going to come down to field position, special teams, turnovers, and like I said, the first team to score a touchdown more than likely wins. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to take Baltimore at home by the score of 16-13. And finally, on Monday night, you got the 12-3 Buffalo Bills traveling to take on the 11-4 Cincinnati Bengals. In spite of being at home, Cincinnati's a 1.5 point underdog in this contest against Buffalo. I look at this contest here. It would not surprise me to see these two teams meet next month in the postseason. They're that good. I could really see them meeting in either the divisional round or the AFC Championship game potentially. Now, this is a big one right here that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to because a Bengals win would mean that Cincinnati has now beaten both Kansas City and Buffalo this season. Also, if Cincinnati wins and a Kansas City win would then propel the Chiefs one game ahead of the Bills with 1 week to go in the race to get home field advantage. And then, of course, a Bills win right here would keep them right there tied with Kansas City. And then, of course, they own the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Two of the better young quarterbacks in the NFL, Josh Allen for Buffalo, and of course, Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. These are the games right here where Buffalo's going to miss Von Miller because you brought Von Miller in to be that game changing edge rusher late in contest. And we saw that earlier this year when the Bills went on the road and knocked off the Chiefs at Arrowhead. These are the kind of games where you're going to miss them because you have those elite quarterbacks and you need those game changing edge rushers. The Bills don't have that right now. And it's going to be interesting to see the matchup of the wide receivers. Stephon Diggs going up against his Cincinnati secondary, Jamar Chase going up against his Buffalo secondary as well. So it's going to be a back and forth affair throughout. I think this has the tenor, if you will, to be one of the better games of the weekend. I think the last team that possesses the football wins. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to give the edge to the Bengals at home by the score of 31-27. So, folks, those are my picks for week number 17 in this NFL season. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.